Welcome to another episode of Pels and the Blender. It's your boy A. Davis coming to y'all on this nice Monday evening. For me, this is gonna be a shorter episode, but this is more like a motivational Monday. You know what I mean? Because what I want to talk about today is pretty much our team being looked at as underdogs, and why not only for the team but people in general. When you've been looked at as an underdog, you should have like people that's pretty much showing pride should have like that shrug your shoulders, that I'm gonna show you mentality. And I think this team is filled with players like top to bottom. I think everything about this team and organization just shouts out like underdog. And typically, if they have that kind of mentality, it'll pose well for us into the season or going into the season. So it's one thing when you are looked at as an underdog and you can't really, you're not talented enough to achieve things that some people are, just naturally better than you at doing. You know what I mean? So if you think about it, if I compare, like, example, if I was in like a singing competition with Beyonce, well, I'm not no great singer, I'm an underdog, but that's just not one of the things that I will be able to compete with that particular person with, because she's just more talented than me at that particular thing. In this situation, when we talk about the Pelicans, they're one of the more talented teams in the league. Like, and it's been that way for a while now. Like the last couple of years, a lot of teams have gone through it. But the main thing that, and we all know, and we do have our flaws with, with the coaching and stuff like that. But the main thing has been the injuries, right? But I'm not talking about that right now. I'm removing the injury aspect of it and talking about the team from a talent perspective, and honestly a personality, like the personalities that we have on this particular team, and why I think all of these guys have been like backs against the wall. And again, I've talked about it multiple times in multiple episodes, and why I think that will be the thing that drives it home for us. But after, like, the interviews come out over the weekend, Joe Dumars was speaking at the Saints game, and just kind of giving us updates and stuff like that about what's going on. We haven't got any of the visuals yet, but those are, like, they're saying the right things, and it sounds like the team is doing the right things. People that know, you know, Trey Murphy and the kind of person that he is, that guy's working hard. Um, great character and stuff like that. Jose, regardless of what we think of Jose necessarily as a player, that guy is working hard, right? And most of these guys are honestly like are already overachievers to a degree. Herb Jones being a second round pick, being first team all defense, getting another extension on his contract, being, looked at as one of the top defenders in the league. That's a guy that was an underdog that overachieved, and you know what I mean? And like, it's kind of setting a new standard or whatever. So when I look at this team, and I look at, Vegas come out and say we have the 30 wins and stuff like that, I just think that obviously these guys are working as if there is no tomorrow. And I think we're going to see that. So this particular episode is really just to kind of emphasize or re-emphasize what I think that the team is actually doing and going through right now. So you hear Joe with his statements. You hear Willie Green put out his interview, and you could it's kind of hit or miss, with Willie Green. You don't know, like, he's not inspiring, I guess. But I guess another thing you could say about Willie Green is when his back has been against the wall, for the most part, he's showing up as well. Now I think he's got, I mean, we all know it, his career is on the line. So either he's gonna, sink or swim. So I think when we think about this team, top down leadership, Joe Dumars, honestly, I think he has, I don't necessarily know if you'll say he has something to prove per se, because Joe Dumars has accomplished just about everything, you know. But at the same time, you do want to, like, his last time running the team was not, towards the end of that tenure, was not successful. So I'm sure he wants to come here and prove to the people in New Orleans, hey, this was a good hire. I'm the man for this job. People could count out our team all they want. People are, like, the other GMs that didn't think that this was the other executives that didn't think that Joe Dumars was a good hire. I'm sure that he has something to prove with that. The draft picks, they have something to prove. I don't understand how you have two lottery picks in the ESPN rank and have them as, giving the Pelicans an F grade. So they got the chips on their back. They're looking at it as underdogs. But at the same time, the players and the team that we're looking at is a super talented team. Like, Zion was the number one pick in the draft. He's a one of one. Like, he's one of the more unique players in this league. Trey Murphy is literally a rising star, and nobody's like, it's crazy that everybody wants to trade for him, but nobody gives the Pelicans credit for having him on the team. Like, I find that, kind of insane when you think about it, because so Golden State wants him, the Spurs want him. Like, a lot of teams that people are giving credit to and saying, hey, this guy's obviously, like, we think he could be one of the cornerstone players, but the Pelicans don't get the benefit of the doubt for having that kind of player. Similarly with Herb Jones, like we said earlier, Herb Jones turned himself into one of the best defenders in the league. Everybody acknowledges he's one of the best defenders in the league, but we don't get the benefit of having these particular players on our team. So I like to think that this particular team this year will look similar to what Detroit looked like last year. And not saying talent-wise is similar, but, and again, Detroit is in the East, but Detroit had seasons previous of, like, massive losing. Essentially, it was just massive loss after loss after loss. And then last year, they finally got it together. Their star was a star most of the season. They got competent coaching. I'm not saying JB Bickerstaff is a great coach, but we thought he was a competent coach and did a really good job. They had some veterans. Like, this particular team, the Pelicans team, looks very similar to me to what that Pistons team from like, when you look at the landscape of the league, what they look like. A lot of teams are gonna come in and play the Pelicans and, like, oh, this is gonna be an easy dub. Like, a lot of teams, based on how we looked last year and how things went, I think a lot of teams are gonna overlook the Pelicans, right? And we're injured. Like, a lot of people probably give DeJounte Murray, there's a penalty for DeJounte not being there early in the season. But I think the talent that we have when people come to play the Pelicans, or when the Pelicans come into town, on those road games and stuff, I think a lot of people gonna disrespect the fact that, hey, yeah, they got Zion, but what else? Like, they won 21 games last year. And I think that's how you sneak up on people, and you make your way early, and even if they start winning games. This was similar to the 49 win season. In the 49 win season, there was a point where they were, fighting for that 4 or 5 seed, and they asked Draymond Green about the team, and he was like, nobody's worried about him. Like, nobody respects him. So that's a real thing, in my opinion, and a real stigma throughout the league that this team has to overcome. But I think you use it as fuel. And I think the words that Joe Dumars is saying is everybody's using it as fuel. Derek Queen, hey, your wrist hurting, but your legs work, right? I think that's a leader showing the motivation of what you do is, hey, bro, they counting you out. You need to be ready come day one. Get on a treadmill, make sure you in shape, ready to go, so you could be, you could catch up from this time that you missed. Hey, Zion's in good shape. Yeah, but we're challenging him to be in better shape. We're challenging him to get better with his game. They're challenging him to do things that he's never done before. All of those things are like the mindset of an underdog. Like, if you ever been counted out at, like, work or a job or a school or anything like that, the one thing that typically inspires people is being told you can't do something, you're not good enough to do something, you won't achieve something. Like, all of those things put the battery in your back, and make you, gives you that extra drive to run through that wall. And I think this particular team, we're gonna see that this season. So again, I'm not gonna go too much into it and stuff like that. This is not a real detailed episode and stuff like that. This is just more for people to kind of have an understanding of with this particular team. And just like anybody else with stuff going on, when you being counted out and you being doubted, and you got people telling you can't, bro, like sometimes you do have to change some of the things around you. Lock in. We see them changing some things around them. That even Gail, if you think about it, they were counting out our organization. She was, and sometimes it don't even matter what the reason is, because yes, we understand that these people care about the Saints more than they care about the Pelicans. But at the same time, hey, look, I'm tired of being a laughing stock. I'm tired of people looking down on our organization. We need to make a change. Like before David Griffin got fired, people was clamoring for David Griffin to get fired, and they did what they had to do. So sometimes it's not even about why you necessarily need to make a change, but when people count you out, sometimes you got to step up and do what it is that you got to do to get things moving in the way that you want them to go. Nothing's wrong in making people eat their words, and I think the Pelicans are on the path to doing that this year. More than any other year, I honestly think that this year is going to look better than the 49 wins. Not saying I got us for 49 to 50 wins, but this isn't about necessarily the win count. I think the way that they're going to attack this season, like with your backs against the wall, jobs are on the line, I think you're going to see a level of ferocity that you haven't seen from this team before at all. I just think that we're going to see a level of focus, a level of determination, and I think right now they're showing it. So again, this ain't gonna be a long episode for me, man. That's all I wanted to. I kind of wanted to just get it out on this Monday, a little motivational Monday. Anybody who's been counted out and doubted and stuff like that, bro, don't let nobody tell you what you can't do and stuff like that. And if they are, time to get to work, make some changes, make some adjustments, go do what you got to do. The same way I think this team is going to be able to do, and I think we'll be able to cheer for them and give them a lot of credit. Shout out to the team, give them a lot of credit. Shout out to Willie Green for that one. We'll be able to give this particular team credit for the hard work they put in now so they can reap the benefits of this later. And I think we're really on track to seeing positive turnaround. So I got some other stuff coming out this week, but just wanted to give y'all a little short one this week about why I think this team really has a chance to turn it around and be good going forward. So shout out to everybody that tapped in. Little quick video, be looking out for some stuff this week. It's your boy A. Davis, Pels in the Blender. I'm out.